Welcome back to Ultimate SNS. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. So, just been out kind of messing around the yard a little bit, check the garden and stuff. The rain we're supposed to be getting has not got here yet. It's about 2 days late. So, like I say, guys, you can never really go by what you're seeing on the weather. Make sure you always have a plan if you have a garden because you will have to water your garden on occasion, depending on the areas where you live at. Sometimes it may need a mild watering every day. Sometimes you can just do a heavy watering every few days. Totally up to you how you want to do it. It's your garden, guys. But yeah, so I was out back looking at that coop a little bit better. And I think what I'm going to have to do with that is use hardware. I'll probably pull hardware off of the other one because it's pretty secure. And just transfer all that over and use it with that larger design. So I think that's going to work out pretty good as far as for a grow out pen and stuff like that. We might put a few chickens in that just kind of see how they do. And hey, that's about the best test you can do is just stick a chicken in there and see if something breaks into it at night. And if it does, then you know it's a good thing you didn't move more chickens. But I think it's going to be pretty secure from what I could tell. I want to get that screen run down on the ground. And then I want to make sure that I have my latches a little bit better secure than what came with it. Not bad latches, but if you was in an urban setting, it would probably be more than enough. But out here in the country where we're at, because we have so many predators with raccoons and stuff, I wouldn't really trust some of those latches. Now, the main latches that they have on the other doors, like the nesting boxes and stuff, those are phenomenal, wonderful latches. I don't know why they didn't just keep putting those on there. So, but that would be my recommendation for them. Put the good latches on it. Other than that, looks like a pretty good build. So we'll see how that works out here in the next few days. Just got other stuff going on, so that's kind of to the back of my agenda. Plus, I don't really feel like chasing chickens, man. For anyone who's ever chased chickens, especially the pullet cockerel stage where they're real fast, they're hard to get along, they're real nimble, they can fly really well. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So typically when I get to that stage, if I catch one, I'm going to eat them. So we'll get them moved over there later. But a few things in news kind of want to talk about. So apparently over in the Amazon rainforest and stuff, there's some stuff going on. They're talking about it is the lungs of the world over there because of how many trees are there. It actually takes and produces the most oxygen of anywhere in the world over there. But that's under attack right now. Not because of wars, but because of basically poachers and things like that. They're going around and they're uh, getting gold illegally out of those rivers out that way. And apparently is hurting the fish. So, and because it's hurting the fish, wildlife has gotten involved. The national wildlife in that area, they're getting involved, the park rangers, and that has torn into a war. And in fact, a lot of those, these renegade groups are talking about it. They actually live out there, mind you. They live out there. They don't want them getting gold out of the streams. And then they went in and they burned down some cabins that was there for the rangers and stuff. But apparently, the cabins and all the rules are to protect an indigenous people that have not been exposed to Western society over that way. And they're afraid that this conflict is going to erupt and cause more destruction in the rainforest, which is going to affect, the air that we breathe. So I just figured it was worth mentioning. Now, if you go onto Google and you type in something like, food crisis that's coming into America or anything like that, you will get so much different stuff, man. And some aspects you're going to have like places like CNBC, MSNBC, things like that, where they're just kind of downplaying it, like, oh, well, we don't really know. We're just going to have to wait and see. And then you're going to get some of your heavier hitters that are saying that yeah, there's issues and we're going to have a lot of issues over here. And then when you leave those reports and you go into the actual reports coming out of government entities and things like that, the UN and stuff, that's telling you that it's going to be really bad. So you have to kind of look at it and say, okay, so how bad is our food scarcity going to be in this country that we live in? And you're not going to find out by looking at any of our media, unfortunately, guys. Why? Well, because they report what they're told to report. They report what they feel is fluff news. They don't want people to panic. You don't have to panic. That's the thing that people seem to misunderstand is when you hear a piece of truth, you don't have to panic. You don't have to reject it because it makes it a little more difficult or something you just don't want to hear. And that seems to be a kind of a trend when it comes to most people in society today. They hear something they don't really like, they can't really cope with it, so they just kind of turn it out. And that's fine if people choose to live their life that way. But my advice to everyone on the channel, guys, today, you want to get food now. You want to go and buy as much as you possibly can, man. I mean, by any means that you have. Now, don't go out and start robbing stuff. Don't partake in lawlessness. Understand, we don't do stuff like that, guys. That's not what we do. We prepare and we act like Americans, not wild animals. We let the left do that. But prepare the best way you can. You know what your finances are better and things. And maybe it means, you know, having to use a credit card or something. I personally would not max my credit cards out. That's me. But we're getting pretty close to a time where maybe you kind of need to be watching for that because, like I say, with the food supply dwindling, the price is going to go way up. And it's insane. I know it's just, I don't know if anyone's ever tried them spice drops, but those used to be like $2 for a container. And it was pretty nice, you know, pretty nice size container. They were nice to keep around. Sugar drop out, working in the sun, stuff like that or whatever. And just have some snacks around. Well, unfortunately, those prices have went up as well. 80 cents, $2.80 now. It's went up 80 cents this last time I bought it. And that's just some candy, man. When you go out into the fresh veggies and stuff like that, if you thought it was expensive before, it has gone up considerably in cost now. For a bag of the Honeycrisp apples like I usually buy at Walmart, they wanted $8. There would be like 6 apples in that bag. $8 for little apples. I'm not going to pay it. I will not pay it. I will find an orchard somewhere and go pay them $8 and be able to get quite a bit more. But that's just the way it is, guys. And, you know, unfortunately, we're going to continue to see the food crisis get worse. We're coming out of May now, getting ready to come into June. And I'm hoping people have been getting ready because the food, from what they're reporting, the food in June is going to be cut basically in half as far as the supplies. We're going to see a major drastic. Now, is that because we can't produce, or is that because the powers that be that like to pull the strings and stuff of society are taking the food and stocking it back for them because they're expecting something to happen in the future? Wouldn't surprise me. But the fact is, the very real fact is that we as Americans, we see the shortages every day. Those who are not seeing them are not paying attention. Understand there's actually people who go through life like in an autopilot. And you see them at the stores, walking the lanes and the aisles and stuff like that. And they're being herded around like cattle. This is what your life is. Now you can go get you some food. Now you can go back to work. Now you can have a little bit of family time, but we're going to call you to bring you back into work and things like that. And people have become out of touch with society that we live, we have our families, that is our lives. And then we go to our jobs and that pays for a livelihood. But our life has never been and should have never been about having to work almost every waking moment. And for someone who's been pulling 16, 18-hour days for years and years and years in industrial maintenance field, I can tell you that life gets old quick. Having time to just go out and do stuff, and it takes you a while to get out of that mindset where you're always working. It takes a very long time because you feel like you're being lazy if you're not up doing something. So what do? Well, start your garden. It will keep you as busy as you want to be. It does not take very long to keep one weeded to where it will produce. It does take a little bit of time and planning to get it where it's going to produce very well. But understand, you're still going to get something out of it. And as long as you're throwing nutrients, I've seen gardens where the weeds were halfway up to the farmer's knees. You know, it was my great uncle was up halfway up to his knees and still putting out way more food than he needed for just him and my aunt. He still had, I think he got 4 or 5 kids. I forget how many cousins I got on that side of the family, mainly because of the age difference. Some of them are quite a bit older, so I just never really knew them. But there was enough for them to come in and be able to get food as well. So that's kind of what, you know, I've been learning from great uncles and stuff like that, what to do with different types of plants, how to fertilize them properly, how to keep them producing year round. Because understand that these our great uncles and our grandparents and our great grandparents, if you still have some around, these people have, you know, lived through life where you had to grow your own food. They understand what's coming because they lived through it after Depression and stuff. There was some statistics that come out, and they were saying that right now that the stock market has plummeted more now It's at the lowest it's been since the Depression, and they're afraid that it's going to drop even lower. Which will do what? If we're already at the lowest point that they were at back in the 30s, how bad is it going to get? I mean, you've got to wake up to what's happening in the world today. So yes, get food now. What I would recommend for those that, I've given it some thought. I've seen a lot of comments about, maybe you're living in an apartment or something, and you don't own a home, you don't own land. I understand. I do. I completely understand that. But maybe you can rent a house with a little bit of property out in the country. A lot of times it's cheaper than renting in town in an apartment. Something to look at. If nothing else, maybe you can get a small piece of land that's nearby. Yes, you'll have to make payments on it, but it's yours to do what you want. And understand, when the fall happens, nobody's going to be coming around to collect on stuff. So I would highly recommend find a way to put in a garden, find a way to keep some flock animals, find a way to do something to better your situation. And like I said, I'm all big about stocking up on supplies, as far as, whether you're piling canned food up, and you're staging it wherever it is you're keeping it. Maybe you're keeping it multiple locations. I would recommend that. Never keep all your eggs in one basket, guys. But I would highly recommend that in the days ahead that you are figuring out a way to have food coming in at all time that requires maybe a little bit of output on your behalf in a garden or something like that, or maybe it's just some planters or something, because that's going to be free food. And a lot of stuff you're buying, then you're not having to eat that. Maybe it's going to free up money off your grocery bill so you can buy some more. And I understand buying canned food because, hey man, nobody wants to go buy jars at the prices they're at right now. So yes, there's still canned food available. And what I'm noticing is the varieties. When I'm talking about varieties, I'm not talking about brand names. I'm talking about where I used to be able to go out and find asparagus. I used to be able to go out and find cooked spinach in the Margaret Home, cans and stuff like that, and all the different varieties that were out there. I'm not seeing it now. I'm seeing green beans. I see on occasion the Popeye spinach that they sell in a Popeye can. I was surprised they even still sell that. I figured it was something they found in the back of a store or something and just throwed it on the shelf, but it still had a good expiration date on it. But you're not seeing a lot of stuff. You're seeing a little bit of the squash and onion that's already made up. And when you open that can up, there's not as much stuff in there as there used to be. So that's where it's nice to have, you know, plenty of squash growing around, plenty of zucchinis, things like that. So maybe it's something that you don't really like to eat, but let me assure you, you will learn to love it in a situation where you're starving. Seriously. In fact, I want to challenge everybody to who don't like fresh veggies, and I think most people here do, but there's a few who don't. Believe it or not, my brother does not like squash at all. Never has, probably never will. But I've seen him eat it, mainly because, it's a survival food. So trust me, if survival living will eat squash, if he got hungry enough, anybody would. Because I'm pretty sure my brother, he is 100% when it comes to an outdoor, I don't know what you call those types of people, man. Survivalist, I guess, man. That's just the best way to explain it. But I've seen them eat snake. I've seen them eat bugs and stuff like that. But you could saute up some squash, and he's like, "Yeah, I ain't hungry enough for that." So, hey, props off to him. I would rather eat the squash and zucchini before some of the weird stuff he has shown you to eat. But understand that a lot of times he does that to show you that yes, you can eat it, and no, it's not going to hurt you. As far as I know, he's fine. I've not seen him out here, acting like a grasshopper or anything. So I guess they don't really, you're not really what you eat, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So he seems to do pretty good with it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get with him on that because he hooked me up this big pen we featured in a video yesterday, just a little bit. But I want to get that set up for the run and stuff, and I'm hoping that those chickens that I went ahead and did not butcher yesterday, I'm hoping that they get picked up soon. If not, it's not a big deal. I just thought of something earlier today. There was someone I worked with at that amusement park, and that girl loves chicken. She is now a chef, which I was really happy for her. she went to chef school out west, and she's back, and apparently she's got a really good job, and is just finished some kind of internship or something with the big company up here, and post some photos of her first stuff she made. And let me tell you, if I was catering out, I would definitely be calling the service that she works with, because everything looked awesome. So she really learned how to do some cooking, and she could cook good beforehand too. And I understand this was a high schooler who was coming out of high school and stuff, working at this amusement park. And you always try to encourage people, but it's great to see that these kids, when they come out, they have a conservative outlook, and then they go out west to some of those colleges, and they come back and they're still conservative. I love that. I love it when that happens. And but that, I think that's pretty cool. So, but I don't know. I really hope that everyone is paying attention to what's happening right now. The pricing alone, okay, let's say if there's food available, but the prices continue to climb, and they're going to continue to climb, they're not going down. Understand, we are actually looking at about two more just this year, two more increases in interest and things like that. That's going to dwindle down to the consumers. That's being done in the federal level, and that's going to dwindle down on us. Everything that the administration is doing right now is to cripple the economy of this country. If you haven't woken up to that fact yet, then you've got your eyes closed, you're on cruise control, you've turned your brain off or something, lights are on, nobody's home, whatever you want to call it, guys. If you can't realize that this guy is systematically and purposefully damaging the economy, you need to learn to think for yourselves if you can't see it. I mean, seriously, the approval ratings for this guy are the lowest I've ever seen. I mean, that considerably low. Like, I think his approval rating is 28%. And that was with some straw polls that was done with some of the larger media outlets, between 27 and 30%. The other 70% of America wants him out. That's including Democrats too. So, kind of tells you something's going on. People are starting to wake up. It's really nice to see that, But understand, when you meet someone in there, won't snap out of it, don't get mad at them. Just move on. Hopefully they'll wake up at some point. Anyway, I hope everyone's having a great day. We're going to hop off here.